Welcome everyone. Thank you very much for joining us for the learning of Torah Hashem, Ezras Hashem Yisbarach. We are co-sponsored by the Rezepkowitz family in honor of their parents. We're co-sponsored by Mr. and Mrs. Eddie Chazan, L'fu Shalem for Yedidya Ben Penina, Shoshana Bas Penina, Simone Bas Rachel. We are co-sponsored by Binyamin Rivlin, Lila Nishmas Yitzchak Ben Avram Yehuda Alevi. We are co-sponsored by Shelley Zeitlin for his children Eli, Orit, and Ora. By Berik Goasser for Shalema for Moshe Meir ben Estefan, Dov Meir ben Chai Gittel, and for Akot Satoy for this year. For Shalom Fogel, Lili Nishmas, Yaakov Zeb ben Yehuda Aryeh, Rivka bas Yaakov Yosef, Sivya Miriam bas God, Yosef ben Siyam ben Yaakov Zev, that the Neshama should have an Aliyah. Hi,
Rabbi.
Hi, it's good to have you. We missed you the last 2 days.
Rabbi, is it okay if I'm going to eat in the middle of this year?
Yes, it's okay. It's okay. And actually, it's preferable because your mouth will be closed. How's
the road feeling?
I'm feeling okay. The doctor said now I have to still wait another month and a half to see if it will heal naturally. So we're going to daven that I should heal naturally in the next month and a half, sooner than later.
Bourbon works.
For Pesach last few slippers.
Sounds like me, Barry.
Okay, we're holding by Amar Rabba Abba Bar Kahana, which is 5 lines from the bottom of Daf Kuf Hey Amid Beis. 5 lines from the bottom of Daf Kuf Hey Amid Beis. Amar Rebbe Abba Bar Kahana Kulam. All the blessings that Bilam ended up giving to Klal Yisrael, Chazru L'Klala, reverted back to curses, Chutz Mebate Knesios Mebate Midrashas, except for the curse that he gave that there should cease Bate Midrashas and Bate Knesios, and instead he said, Ma Tovu Alecha Yaakov. That stayed, that the Bati Midrashas and Bati Knesias will be blessed. Shenema vayafoch Hashem elikecha lecha es haklala livracha. Hashem will reverse the curse to the blessings. Ki ahevcha Hashem elikecha, for Hashem, your God, loves you. So it says klala, only one curse will be reversed, v'loi klalais. Now, a blessing of an enemy is not as good as a curse of one that loves us. Amrav Shmuel bar Achmeni, Amrav Yonasan, Ma'idich Siv Ne'monim Pitzei Oyev. More trustworthy are the wounds of somebody that loves us than V'natoros Nishikas Sinai. Full of deception is the kiss of an enemy. Toiva Klala Shekilal Achi Ashilayni Es Yisrael. Better is the curse that Achia Shiloini gave to Klal Yisrael, Yoisa Mibracha Shebircham Bilam Arasha, better than the blessing that Bilam gave to Klal Yisrael. Now, Achia Shiloini, as we said, enjoyed amazing longevity. He was from the Yotzei Mitzrayim. He came out with Moshe from Mitzrayim. He lived past the Malchus of David HaMelech. So he told Klal Yisrael, Achia Shiloini, Kilel es Yisrael Bekana. He cursed Yisrael with the metaphor of a reed. Now, by comparing Klal Yisrael to a reed, he gave us a permanent durability. Shenema v'hika Hashem es Yisrael, Hashem should smite Yisrael kasher yoned akona b'mayim, like the reed waves in the sea. Now, makon zeh, oimid b'makamayim. First of all, it's in a place of water where it constantly has a source of nourishment. V'gizay machlif, and even if it's uprooted, its root regenerates. V'shirashav berubin, and it has many, many roots. V'afilu kol ruchas sheba'elam bayis v'noishes bay, and even if all the winds of the world, even the southern wind, blows at it, ein mazizah tzayisay memekayim, it can't move it from its place. It doesn't budge it from its place. It waves with them. But once they abate, the reed stays in its place. It has permanence. Bilam Arasha blessed us with the cedar. Now the cedar is not so durable. First of all, the cedar ain't aimed b'makamayim. It doesn't exist in a place of water. It doesn't have a constant source of nourishment. V'sharash of muatin. Its roots are few. Ve'ein gizay machlef. Its root does not. Its stump does not regenerate. Now, it's true that the cedar is a mighty tree, and afilu kol haruchos sheba'ilam ba'is v'noishes, but even if all the winds of the world blow at it, ein mezizes it doesn't budge from its place. But Kavan shenishba by ruach draimis, when the southern wind blows at it, miyad oikrasai, it immediately uproots it, vayifchasai al panav, and it's uprooted on its face. V'loyait, not only that, elashizaka kana, there was another benefit of the kana that Achi Ashilaini compared us to, that the kana merited lito mimenu kulmas, that from the reed is taken the quill lichtav mimenu sefer Torah nevi'im eksuva, to write Tanakh. Vayares HaKeni, Yisro saw Keni, he saw the descendants of Yisro. Vayisa Mishalai, and he raised the parable. I said Bilam saw Yisro, and he raised the following parable. Amalai Bilam li Yisro Keni. Keni, Yisro was one of his 7 names, was Keni. Weren't you with us in the final solution, what to do against the Jews, when Paro said, let us deal wisely with God? What are you doing now amongst the mighty of the world? We know that the descendants of Yisro sat in the Lishkas Hagazis, on the Sanhedrin. There were 3 people in that council what to do against the Jews. Eluhain, Bilam, Eiv, v'Yisro. Bilam, Eiv, and Yisro. Bilam, Sheyatz, that said that God promised that he won't bring a flood anymore on the world, and therefore let's drown the babies. Nerak, he was killed, as we will see. Bilam was killed by Pinchas. Eiv, Sheshasak, Eiv, who was silent, Nidain v'Yisurin, was punished with suffering. And as the Beis Halevi says, that even though Eiv didn't participate, but if you could hear such terrible things and you could be quiet in the face of that pain, then you have to be punished. The Yisro Ishabarach, and Yisro that fled and refused to be part of the council, Zacha b'nei Banav, his grandchildren merited Leisha B'lishkas Hagazis, to be members of the Sanhedrin. Shenemo Mishpachai Seifim, the Mishpachais of the sages, Yoshvei Yavitz, the dwellers of Yavas, that's the Sanhedrin, Tirasim, Shemasim, Suchasim, Heima Hakinim, and Kinim is the family of Yisro, Abba Mechamas Avi Beis Rechev, who came from the Hamas, the father of Beis Rechev, and we know Kinim is Yisro because Viksivu B'nei Keni, the children of Keni, Chaysein Moshe, the father-in-law of Moshe, Alumir Atmarim, came up from the mount of, from the city of palms. Now, the pasuk says, "Vayisa mishaloi v'yomer oy mi yichya misumay el." Mi yichya from misumay el. Now, that's a very cryptic comment, and the Gemara now dissects this pasuk as follows. Amr Reb Yochanan, Oy la le'umah, woe to the nation, shetimtza, that is found in the middle, b'shah HaKadosh Baruch Hu oisa pidyon lebanav, when Hashem makes a redemption for his children. In other words, woe to the nation that fights with Klal Yisrael when the time of the Mashiach comes near. Because oy vey, when the Rebbeinu Shalom comes to redeem them, and he's going to be united with Klal Yisrael, then the Gemara uses an imagery. Mi matel kususai, who's going to put his garment bein lovi lelevia, between a lion and a lioness, b'shosh and iskakim zeh, when they mate with one another. So when Klal Yisrael unites, the nation that gets in the way, that's fighting by the Melchamas Gog and Magog, or are they going to get smashed, or are they going to get fashmeted. Now, so now we got to go back to the pasuk and see how we're going to render mi yichya misumay el. I made a bracha already. So, Reb Shimon Malakish says, Mi shemechaya atzmai b'shem el, one who gives himself life claiming that he's a god. In other words, that an enemy that claims he's a god, like our enemies in the past claimed that they were a god. Paro said he was a god, and Leah Oiri to me is the Nile god. Nebuchadnezzar claimed that he was a god. Haman claimed that he was a god. So, Mi Yechya, who gives himself life, b'shem kel, by b'shem el, by calling himself a god. Now, Rabbi Yochanan learns this differently. Mi Yechya, woe is the nation who is living, who is the nation that is, the Melchamas Gog and Magog, misumay kel, when the Rabbeinu Shalom places himself with Klal Yisrael, and he puts himself, that nation puts himself in between the Rabbeinu Shalom and Klal Yisrael. Whoa, that's like putting yourself in between a lion and a lioness when they're mating. V'tzim miyad kitim, and ships that travel from Kitim, Amarav. So this is just definition that Kitim is a city of Libun Aspir, and then it talks about the Roman government. V'inu Ashur, they will afflict Ashur, Assyria. V'inu Aver. Now, why does it? It should just say V'inu Ashur v'Aver. It says V'inu Ashur v'Inu Aver, two levels of affliction. Ad Ashur Kotlei Mikdal, until Ashur, the Roman government just brutalized, killed. Mikan ve'elach, only Mishabdei Shabud, they only took slaves, they didn't kill. So now, Bilam says, Hineni holech la'ami, I'm going to go back to my nation, to Aram Narayim, L'cha'i otzcha kama, and I will tell you, Asher yasa omazel la'amecha, what this nation should do to your nation. Now, what he really advised is that they should tempt Klal Yisrael with znus. However, so the Gemara says it should say Amcha lo mazeh ba'ilei. It should say what your nation should do to this nation, the Jews. It's like a person curses himself. Instead of saying that they'll do this to us, which is what happened, they tempted us and we succumbed to Zinus, and because of that we lost 24,000 people from Shevet Shimon. It reverses it, that it shouldn't be a curse on Klal Yisrael. Amalahem, and this is the strategy that the wicked Bilam, and for this Bilam would die, the wicked strategy that Bilam advised. Elohim shel elu soinei zimo. Their God hates immorality. He hates promiscuity. Now, Vehem, Jews, misavim leklei pishtim. Jews like linen. Jews like clothing. They like linen. Bo v'ashi acha etza. I'm going to give you an idea, because you can't just lure them into znus. They fight their Yetzer Hara. You have to be very, very, very clever. Asay lahem klum. Jews like a bazaar. They like pop-ups. They like sales. Jews like a good sale. Asay lahem klum. Make tents. V'hoishiv ben zaynis. And at the tents, you should have the sales ladies, they should be harlots. But they're not going to come in if there's a harlot at the front. V'hoishiv ben zaynis. But zekena mibechutz, an old hag on the outside. So an old hag, they're not going to be afraid to go to an old hag. But v'yalda mibifnim. But on the inside, a very pretty one, a young pretty one. V'yimkur lem klei pishtin. And now sell them the goods that they want. And asa lehem klum, so they followed his advice. They made these stalls all the way mehar shelag at Beis HaYeshimas, all the way from Mount Shelag until Beis HaYeshimas. V'oishibem zaynais, and they put harlots, zekena b'bechutz, an old lady on the outside, v'yaldem b'fnim. Ub'shashi Yisrael oichlem v'shaisim esmeichem, where after they've eaten and drinking and had their barbecues and they're happy, v'yoitzin l'tayel b'shuk, now they go out to take a spatzir, a walk. Oimeris le'azekena, the zekena, the old woman hawks or wears, Yatam evakish klei pishtin. Don't you want linen? Now zekena imeris labishav. The old woman offers it for face value. The yalda imeris labipachas. But the young woman on the inside says, you know what? I'll sell you it for less. Shtayim v'sholosh pamim. He gets a bargain 2 or 3 times, and he's gotten now a good look at how pretty she is. Afterwards, she says to him, you're such a good customer. Hariyat keben bayis, you're already like a family. Shave bror la'atzma, sit down and pick the goods you want yourself. And since you're such a good customer, here's some delicious wine. V'tzartzurei shel yayin amayni munach etzla. And there were jugs, pitchers, of flasks of strong ammoni wine next to her. Now, they didn't have a gzera yet on stam yayin. V'adayin lo neser yayin shel nachem. The wine of a guy was not yet aser, so he had some wine, and it went straight to his head. Amra lai, she said to him, you're such a good customer, you want to drink a wine. Kavan Shasa, once he drank the wine, he lost control. So Barba, you see how strategic this is? Barba, his passion was inflamed. Amallah Hashmi Ili. He said to her, submit to me. Now, it wouldn't be enough to get him to sin with promiscuity. After all, these are unmarried women, that wasn't enough. She took her getchka from her bosom. Amrullah, avoid lazeh, worship this, and then I'll submit to you. Amrullah, so he said to her, what do you mean worship it? Halo Yehudi ani. I'm a Jew, I don't worship idolatry. Amrullah, she said to him, but you know how this worship goes? You have to go to the bathroom. It was Baal Pa'ar. Amrullah, ma'ich b'so, what do you care? It's so disgusting. Klum of akshim imcha appear. All you have to do is go to the bathroom in front of it. He didn't know that that's the way to worship. But not only that, she said, if you want me to be with you, you have to say that you deny the Torah of Moshe Rabbeinu. I don't relinquish myself to you. And now already he's so immersed in being with her. They worshipped Baal Pa'ar, and they wandered into shame, and they became disgusting because of their love, because of their lust for these women. And this is how Bilam lured them into Avodah Zarah, into Znus, and into Kfira.
But if they didn't know that that's the way to serve the idol, then it's not really true avodah zarah. They don't have that intention of.
Well, at a time where we're supposed to be known about avodah zarah, Eino Yedeya is not a good enough excuse. They should have been learned of it. This was one of the popular avodah zarahs. That's number one. Number two, they got them on two accounts of the loss, which Kanoim Poigim by, and then also a kfira in Teres Moshe. Now,
why was it Shimon only that suffered such great losses?
well, it was in the lead of the Nasi. Their Nasi already succumbed to it. So they followed their Nasi. Vayeshev Yisrael b'Shittim. Yisrael dwelled in Shittim. Rabbi Eliezer Aimer Shittim Shema. Its name was Shittim. Rabbi Yeshua Aimer no shenes asku b'divrei shtus. They acted with foolishness. Vatikrenu la'am lezivchei Eloheihem. And they invited the people, the nation, to sacrifice to their gods. Rabbi Eliezer shows how strong was the temptation. Arumais pagu behen. They came out naked. So they really tempted them. Rabbi Yeshua Aimer shenasa kulam bali kriyan. These women were so beautiful that they saw them and they were instantly aroused to have a pollution. Now, once we said what's the language of Shittim, we dash in another place in the Torah. My l'shain Refidim. Amalek attacked the Jews in Refidim. Rabbi Elazar Amar Refidim Shema. The name of the place was Refidim. Rabbi Shua Aimer no. Sheripu atzma midivrei Torah. The reason why they succumbed to Amalek is because their hands were weakened from Torah. Shenem aloi hifnu avos elbanim. The fathers were not able to turn to their children to save them. Merif yoin yadayim. Because of the weakness of their hands from Torah. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, a code, like we know it, whenever it says Vayehi b'mei, it's a sign of tsar. The same thing is true, Kol Mokum Shenema Vayeshev, wherever it says Vayeshev, Ein Elo L'shain Tsar, it shows that there's some distress. Shenema Vayeshev Yisrael b'Shittim, they dwelled in Shittim, right away. Vayachal Amliz Naisel b'Nais Mayav, the people started to have znus with the daughters of Mayav. Vayeshev Yaakov Beretz Meguriyav Beretz Canaan. It says that he dwelled in the land of his fathers in Canaan, and immediately it says the beginnings of the drama of Mitzrayim. Vayava Yosef es kibasam ro'el aviyam. Yosef brought the evil tidings to his father, which eventually led to them selling him. Vanema Vayeshev Yisrael Beretz Goshen. Yisrael dwelled in the land of Goshen. And that's when Yaakov went to his deathbed. Vayikru v'yemei Yisrael lamus. And Yaakov was on his deathbed. Vayeshev Yehuda v'Yisrael levetach ish tachas gafnai v'tachas teinasai. Klal Yisrael dwelled securely, every man by his vineyard, every man by his fig tree. Vayakam Hashem satan l'shlomo, and Hashem appointed a nemesis to Shloimeh as Hadad ha'Adoimi, Mizer HaMelech hu be'Edom, from Edom, and that started trouble for Shloimeh HaMelech. Before we go further, we are already into the Amid Baruch Hashem, so we could welcome in Yaakov Warman, Marshall Castle, Aaron Swade. Aaron, it's great to have you. Shelley Zeitlin, Saba, and Barry Cement, who's back from a little bit recess, Mo Kushner, Stephen Holtzman, Irving Fishbaum, Dr. Guy, Ruvain Pollack, Mel Zachter, Baruch Ian, Dov Salkowitz, Dr. Black, Rabbi Kranz, Yitzi Fuchs, Itchy, Yisrael Fisher, Michael, Shalom Fogel, Shimon Klein, Dr. Udell, Chaim Lerner, Nachman Chapler, and Nachman, who is one of our sponsors in tonight's Chumash here. Nachman, we didn't forget, we have in mind for you tomorrow. We know you're going to the hospital for this important test and maybe procedure. So Nachman Yaakov ben Sarah should have a refuah shalema b'sech shachar Yisrael.
Thank you. I also had My daughter had a baby boy.
Mazel tov and an einikel. So the Yerushalmi says, Noiled ben Zacher b'mishpacha, nisrapa kol mishpacha kula. Very good sign. Richard Rosenzweig, it's great to have you. Ilya Shutman, Berish Gesseman, Avram Schenkman, Avram Rezepkowitz, Yitzi Muller, David Helfgott on Kololoshin. Kololoshin is a new system now. We are reunited with Kololoshin Eretz Yisrael, I believe. And that might be why the phone prompts sound a little different. We welcome over here in the shul Chaim Kramer, Michal Avram, Ruvain Shannon, and Reb Halpert. It's good to have all of you. Still missing Mark, where are you? And Gdalia Engel is not here this evening, missing some people this evening. A.B. Spry is not with us tonight. We do have 32 Zoomers, but Marshall's getting thirsty, so.
Thirsty? I'm hungry. And thirsty. Looking for some chili, Shelley.
Ves Malkei Midian Hargu al Chalaleim. The kings of Midian, the Bnei Yisrael, killed with their corpses. Ves Bilam ben Ba'ar Hargu b'charav. And Bilam ben Ba'ar, he killed by the sword. Pinchas killed Bilam. Says the Gemara, you know, what was Bilam doing over there? He went back to Aram Naharayim. So what was he doing with the kings of Midian? Bilam Aybayasam. Rabbi Yonasan Shalach Lital Schar Esmer Abba Elef Shehipel Mi Yisrael. He went back to collect payment for his successful wiping out 24,000 Yidden. His advice worked, so he wanted to get paid. The camel comes to get horns. They cut off the ears that he already had. So he came to get extra money, and it led to his death. He lost even what he already had. There's Bilam ben Ba'or Kaisim. Bilam Ba'or, the sorcerer, says, what do you mean sorcerer? He was a prophet. It said he equaled Moshe Rabbeinu in prophecy. Kaisim, Navihu. Rabbi Yochanan B'tchila Navi. Initially he was a Navi, B'seif Kaisim. At the end, he was demoted to a sorcerer. She who was with a nobleman and princes, she ended up having adultery with a carpenter. So he once had prophecy, ends up just as a paltry sorcerer. The Klal Yisrael killed them by the sword amongst the corpses. Now, what does it mean, Chalaleim, in the plural? So, Amarav Shekaimu by Arba Mises. They did with him all 4 Mises Bezdin. They killed him a way that was similar to all 4 Mises Bezdin. Skilo, Sreifa, Hereg, V'chenek. Stoning, burning, beheading, and hanging. Anybody know how old Bilam was when he died? It doesn't say anywhere. People of bloodshed and deceit. They will not live till half their days. Now, since a person's life is 70 years, so therefore, half would be less than 35. So either he died at Bar Klassen Uklas at 33, or Bar Klassen Varba, or at 34. Amalei, so he says, that really matches with an old scroll that I found. Amalei Shaper Ka'amrit, because Didi Chazali Pinkase de Bilam, I found the log of Bilam, Vaviksiv Bey Bar Klassen Uklas Shin Bilam Chagira. He was 33 years old. Bilam the lame, Kad Kotel Yosei Pinchas Lista. When Pinchas the bandit killed him.
Is there any correlation between Bilam killing the 24,000 and Rabbi Akiva's students around 24,000?
There might be. They might be Gilgulim. There might be. There's all kinds of speculation about that. Amalei Marbre Ravina Lebre, Mar the son of Ravina said to his son, Bikulu like toughest lemedrish. By all of these that don't have Olam Haba, don't talk about it much. Don't expound on it that much, because these also were people great in learning, like Dayeg, so don't get carried away. Lavar me Bilam Arasha, except for Bilam the wicked, the Kama de Shkachas Bay, any goods that you have on him, Draish Bay. You could talk about him. So now we're going to learn, and this was one of the great tragedies of history. Dayeg was an extremely great Talmid Chacham. Now we're going to see that there was a problem. You know, there are people that learn, but they don't absorb. They don't internalize. So the Gemara suggests that although Dayeg was an awesome Talmid Chacham, but it was only misafa l'chutz. It was only external. He didn't internalize it. Dayeg, so the Gemara says, Ksiv Dayeg, it calls him Dayeg, but it also, the Ksiv Dayeg with a Vav Yud Yud instead of an Aleph. So which one is it? Amar Rabbi Yochanan B'tchila Yoshev HaKadosh Baruch with Dayeg, and was worried, Shema Yotze Zel Atar B'Sra. Rabban Yishalom saw disturbing signs with Dayeg, and he was worried that he's going to go off the derech. La'achar sheyatza, when he went off the derech, Amar Dayeg with a Vav Yud Yud, which is woe, Vai, woe, sheyatza zet, that he went off the derech. Siman Gibor Rasha, Tzadik Chayil, the Sefer. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak, Mai Dichsiv, what is that which is written? Ma bis tisalel bira. Why do you boast of evil? Hagibor, you who are mighty in Torah, Chesed Kel Kol Hayom, who sees the kindness of God all the day. Amalei HaKadosh Baruch Hu l'Dayeg, Lo Gibor b'Torata, aren't you great in Torah? Ma tisalo bara, why do you boast with evil and talk Lashon Hara about David? Lo Chesed Kel Noti Alecha Kol Hayom, isn't the chesed of Hashem stretched over you the whole day? Since you're learning Torah, Torah is called Torah's chesed. And whoever learns Torah in the night, chut shel chesed, moshech alav kol hayom. So what happened? What are you doing? It's very interesting that this next pasuk, the venerable Haggadah Vayagei Moshe, brings down as a source that the minig was that people before the Seder did tshuva. Because the pasuk says, "U'l'rasha amar elikim," to the wicked, God says, "Malach l'saper chukai." What do I need you to say over my statutes? So since on the Seder we have the mitzvah l'man tisaper ba'oznei bincha ben bincha, Hashem says, I don't want to hear a sipur from a rasha. So people have a minig to do tshuva at the beginning of the Seder, that they shouldn't be called the rasha. But this was said to Dayeg. Amalei HaKadosh Baruch Hu Dayeg, harasha, to Dayeg, the wicked, malach l'saper chukai. Why do I need you to learn my Torah? Kishatom agia l'parshas meratzchim and parshas mesaper lashon hara. When you get up to the parish of murder and the parish of Lashon Hara, which you're guilty with, ma'ata derish behem. How are you going to learn them? Vatisa brisi alai picha. You should have a covenant over your mouth. So the brisi is a metaphor for Torah. Imloi brisi yaimam b'layla chukas shemayim v'aretz lisamti. Not my covenant day and night, that's Torah. I wouldn't have created the statutes of the world. So Vatisa brisi alai picha. Hashem says, my bris, my covenant is only on your mouth. It's only lip service. It's only lip service. It's only from the edge and outward. Rabbi Yitzchak. By the way, Rabbi said the night is young. After this shir, we will have a Haggadah shir. If you are in Fairways over Shabbos, I will be saying this shir on Shabbos, but if you're not going to be in Fairways, then it would behoove you to enjoy. Amar Reb Yitzchak, Amar Reb Yitzchak, Ma'idich Siv, V'yiru tzadikim v'yiro, the righteous saw and they were afraid, but v'olav yischaku, and then afterwards they laughed. Initially they saw Doeg, and they were afraid that other people would learn for him. Because here he was a great Talmid Chacham, and he was behaving improperly. Then afterwards, when he died very young, they laughed, being assured that people will see that he died young because he was a sinner. But Chila Yiro, initially the sages were afraid, and afterwards, when he died young, they laughed. The Amar of Yitzchak, this is a difficult pasuk to render. Ma'idich Siv Chayil Bala, he swallowed Chayil, he swallowed treasure. Vayekenu, he will vomit it out. Mibitnai yoshenu kel. May Hashem take it out from his belly. Now wait for him to vomit it up. What happened is Amar David Lefnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Ribono Shel Olam, Yomas Doeg. Doeg is such a troublemaker, have him die. Amalai, so Hashem said, well, his Torah is protecting him. Chil Bala, he swallowed treasure, V'yekenu, he will shortly vomit it out, but until he vomits it out, his Torah is protecting him. Amalafanav, so David said, it's not safe to wait with him, he's so dangerous. Mi bitno yerishenu kel, to take it out of his stomach, take out the Torah from him, cause him to forget it. Ma'amar Reb Yitzchak, Ma'idich Siv, Gam El Yitotzcha Lanetzach. The Almighty will smash you forever. This is a riot that Doeg lost his Olam Haba. Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, David Neisei Doeg La'al Madasi. Let Doeg have an afterlife. Amar Lefanav Gam El Yitotzcha Lanetzach. No, smash him forever. Says Gemara, Ma'idich Siv Yachtecha V'Yisachacha Me'oil. Cut him out and let him be forgotten from the tent. V'Shereshcha Me'eretz Chaim Sela, and his roots from the land of the living. Hashem said, Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Le'im Shmeitze Be'midrash Mishmei. Let at least that we should say things in his name in the Beis Medrash. Amar Lefanav Yachtecha V'Yisachacha Me'oil, may be cut out and forgotten from the oil shel Torah. We shouldn't mention anything in his name. Lahavalei Benin Rabbanon, let him at least have children Rabbanim. No, V'sher Sheikh Me'eretz Chaim Sela, may his roots be uprooted from the land of the living. He shouldn't even have children that are B'nai Torah.
I don't understand. David is for him and against him?
He's against him.
He's against him.
He's against him. Because he tried to kill David.
Yes.
V'amar Reb Yitzchak,
He better than Haman. Haman had grandchildren, no? That went into the...
well, that's because Haman caused all of Klal Yisrael to do tshuva, which Doeg did not.
Good answer, Rabbi.
Now, thank you.
Always.
Thank you.
As always.
Now you could start eating again. Amar Reb Yitzchak, it reminds me of Reb Miller said, certain people, they're good when they're under the cars. Certain people are good when their mouths are full. Right? Where's Marshall when I need him? Says the Gemara, the Amar Reb Yitzchak, Ma'idich Siv Ayei Sefer. Where is the scribe? Ayei Shoikel. where is the one who knows how to count? Aye Sofer es hamigdalim. Where is the one who can count towers? Now, Aye Sofer, where is the one who can count? Aye Sofer kol oisir sheb'Torah. They knew how to count all the numbers in the Torah, and they came up with incredible revelations. Right? And just to give you an elementary example, an elementary example is that the 25th word of the Torah is Ar. So that hints that the Festival of Lights will be on the 25th of Kislev. I mean, that's a very elementary example. But they knew how to count and reveal incredible things. So, Aye Shoikel, Sheshoikel Kol Kalim V'Chamurim Sheb'Torah. He precisely weighed all the Kal V'Chomers in the Torah. And he knew the merit of every Kal V'Chomer, whether it's a correct argument or not. Aye Sofer es HaMigdalim. Who is the one that counts the towers? Now this is interesting. Sheyesofer shloish meyes halachas psukais b'migdal hapireach ba'aver. 300 laws about a tower that floats in the air. Now, this is not Harry Potter, Rabbi say. What's a tower that floats in the air? So there's many mefarshim over here, many explanations. One explanation is it's talking about the vav on top of the chaf in the letter lamed. The letter lamed is composed of a chaf and a vav. By the way, that's Gematria 26. That's why the lamed is the tallest letter, because it's 26. That's Yud Kei Vav Kei. Now, in that vav, which is the towering height of the aleph base, the halacha is that it's supposed to slant a little bit to the left. So that's called a migdal hapireach ba'aver, the tower that floats in the air. And he had 300 precise halachas about the correct writing of the lamed. That's one pshat. Another pshat is it has to do, we know that the Chachamim were geyser on Tumah on the Eretz HaAmim. That in the land of diaspora, they were geyser Tumas HaMeis. Because in the diaspora, they didn't mark the graves properly, so they were geyser Tumah. The question is, if somebody was carried in a tower, in a cupboard, does he become Tameh, since he was inside the cupboard? So this is complex, and he knew 300 halachas about that. Others learn it means the halacha was that you were allowed to learn sorcery in order to catch sorcerers and to judge them. And he knew 300 points about the sorcery of a tower floating in the air. And by the way, this is not Harry Potterish. This is actual. Barry remembers in the olden days when they were floating around towers. He still remembers those days. The Gemara tells us, Amar Rabbi Ami, Arba Meya Boy Bo'u Doig Vachitoifel B'Migdal HaPirach Ba'aver. They raised 400 inquiries about the tower that floats in the air, and not one of them was able to be answered. Amar Rava. So Rava said, you think it's a big cheese? It's a top tomato to be able to ask questions? Amar Rava Ravusa l'mibai bai. Greatness is not in intelligence. B'shnei Rabbi Yehuda kulei tnuya ben Ezekiel. In the years of Rabbi Yehuda, all their learning was just in Seder Nezikin. In Bava Kama, Bava Metzia, Bava Basra. Banan, we later on, Kamasninan, Tuva, we have many people that are well-versed, Ba'uksin, all the way to the last Masechta in Seder Tyrus. V'chi avimate, Rabbi Yehuda, when Rabbi Yehuda reached the Mishnah, Isha shekaveshes yerek b'kteira, a woman that pickles a vegetable in a pot, olives that are pickled in their leaves are tar. Now this has to do with yadayim. A yad shel tumah is tameh. In other words, even though the leaf of an olive is not edible, but since you could handle the olive with it, so it's also mekabel tumah. But that's only when it could be used as a handle. But when they're pickled, so the leaves become soft, so they can't be used as a handle anymore, then they're tar. So when Rava learned this, Amar Havayis de Rav Shmuel kachazinacha. We need the arguments of Rav and Shmuel over here. In other words, we need help understanding the complexities over here. Yet Vanan, yet we, much later, said Rava, Kamasninan ba'uksin klas srei mesifta. We have 13 different academies learning uksin, or we have 13 different ways to understand uksin, yet Rabbi Yehuda shalaf mesanei v'asei mitra. If there was a drought, Rabbi Yehuda would remove his shoe, and as soon as he would show that little suffering of removing one shoe, it would rain. Vanan safchinan, we could cry and scream, v'leka demashkichban, and nobody listens to us. So even it's not scholarship that shows greatness; it's yiras Hashem. El HaKadosh Baruch Hu liba boy. Hashem wants the heart, like it says, Rachmana liba boy. Dichsib Hashem yira lalevav. Hashem sees the heart. So the fact that he was able to ask 400 questions and nobody was able to answer it doesn't show greatness. Amar Masharshi. They didn't fully understand their learning. Says the Gemara, Maskva Marzutra, Maidich Sibbe, Aye Sefer, Aye Shoikel, Aye Sefer, as a Migdalim, Mandik Sibbe, it says, woe the counters, woe the weighers, woe those that knew all these halachas of the Migdal Perech, Ba'aba, Ba'at, Amrit Lavi, Savei Shmaitza, and you say they didn't understand their learning. Ela Doleavi Salka L'Shmaitza Aliba de Hilchasa. They weren't able to arrive at La Halacha L'Maisa. Dichsiv, because it says, Soid Hashem Liyareyav. The secrets of Hashem is to those that fear Him. Amar Rabami, Loimeiz Dayeg at Sheshachach Talmudah. Dayeg didn't die until he forgot his learning. That's what it says. Remember, it said in the pasuk, he will vomit out the treasure. Shenema hu yamas, he will die be'ein musa, without learning. U'berayvi valta yishke, and with his great foolishness he will err. Rav Amar nitztar, he would be stricken with leprosy. Shenema hitzmata kol zayna mimeka, you cut down every harlot from you. So now we dash in the word hitzmata ksiv hasam. It says that the yovel will go letzmisus for perpetuity. Umetagaminon lachalutin. Now muchlat is a lashon of tzaras. Utanan ein bein musker umuchlat. There is no difference between the Mitzayra that's quarantined to the Mitzayra that's certain, Elaprio Frima, that he has to, the certain Mitzayra has to let his hair grow long and has to rend his garment. So we see that there's an illusion that Doeg will be struck with Saras as well. Okay, we're going to stop here, Rabbi Isai, as we will now do the